From political solidarity to concrete development, Algeria and Chad are opening a new chapter of strategic partnership. Today, Algerian Prime Minister Seif concludes a landmark official visit to N'Djamena, crowned by the laying of the foundation stone for the Algerian-Chadian Solidarity Power Plant, a 40-megawatt project to be built by Sonalgas. It is a powerful symbol of African cooperation and a clear sign of Algeria's diplomacy in action. All this and more will be discussed by our panel on All 24 News Special shortly. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to this All 24 News special coverage with me, Karim Faz-Zakari. So, as I said earlier, tonight we follow the key moments of Prime Minister Seif visit to Chad and what this means for Algeria-Chad relations. But first, here are the highlights of this historic visit in this report, and then we get back to discussion.
After a long day of work under the relentless heat, Ahmed returns home as the sun sets over N'Djamena. The moment he steps through the door, his young son runs to greet him, holding a small screen that opens the door to a world of knowledge and discovery. For this family, electricity means far more than just turning on a light. It means giving children access to education, bringing knowledge, and creating new opportunities for a better and more dignified life.
In Chad, the main concern of the Chadian people is solving the electricity crisis. We are suffering from power shortages. The topic of the moment and the talk of the week is that the whole population is happy that the electricity crisis is now being addressed in a lasting way by Algeria.
For many families in Chad, access to these opportunities remains a daily struggle. In this landlocked Central African country, electricity is still a luxury for many. Power cuts are frequent, and in some areas, electricity remains unavailable altogether. Those who can afford it often rely on private generators, but the cost is a heavy burden.
On dit vraiment un grand merci.
We say thank you very much to our brothers in Algeria for this initiative, and we also thank the Algerian state, which has taken upon itself the responsibility of providing us with this power plant to alleviate our suffering, and all of the Chadian people regarding electricity, because we suffer a great deal from it. So we say to it, thank you, thank you.
Parce que nous en souffrons énormément, donc nous disons merci, merci, merci.
With a population of around 20 million people, Chad remains among the countries with the lowest electricity access rates in the world. Only about one-third of its population is connected to the power grid. As the country searched for a way out of its energy crisis, Algeria responded with speed and determination. In less than a month, the commitment turned into concrete action, with the foundation stone laid for a 40-megawatt power plant, a project reflecting the spirit of cooperation and solidarity between the two countries. While teams from Sonalgas prepared the technical stages of the project, a new source of energy is taking shape, one expected to bring electricity to homes and support Chad's development efforts.
This is a 40-megawatt power generation plant project. The project consists of two turbines, each with a capacity of 20 megawatts. This project is vital for Chad, as it will enable the launch of other projects, including economic and investment initiatives. It will also help improve the living conditions of the population in the city of N'Djamena and its surrounding areas.
This project is more than an energy facility. It is a bridge of cooperation between Algeria and Chad. By bringing electricity closer to communities, it aims to transform daily lives, empower families, and create new possibilities for education, economic activity, and sustainable development. A light that goes beyond homes to illuminate the future of an entire community.
Welcome back, dear viewers. So, to unpack the profound significance of these developments, I am honored to be joined tonight by a distinguished panel of experts. Joining us from New York is Mr. Mohammed Chris Sassi, geopolitical observer and financial analyst Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Sassi.
Always a pleasure to be with you, and I salute your distinguished guest.
Thank you. And from Paris, we have Dr. Abdenour Toumi, geopolitical analyst and MENA affairs expert. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Toumi.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program, and my special greetings to the distinguished guest.
Thank you. And here with me in the Algiers studio is Mr. Idir Sansi, legal and strategic affairs consultant. He's in banking and finance. You are an expert in this, right?
Yes, right. Thank
Amazing.
you.
So technically in this show, we're going to discuss a lot of points related to regulations, banking and finance. So your analysis is very valuable to us. Thank you.
With my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Perfect. So let's begin with you, Dr. Abdenour Toumi. If we come to look at this development at the economic side, there are a lot to say. So, Dr. Toumi, with the broader geopolitical shift before we get to finance, how does this visit by Prime Minister Saifi Gharieb translate Algeria's new vision for African cooperation, moving away from traditional diplomatic solidarity toward a genuine, hands-on developmental partnership?
Indeed, and this visit is very important, and it comes in a time of turmoil and uncertainty that is affecting international politics. And when one speaks about international politics, particularly when it comes to the geography and the role of Algeria and the geostrategic of Algeria that has positioned itself on that posture, and enhancing this diplomatic mobility in which has given to Algiers a solid and powerful role, and also a voice in its geopolitics and geoeconomics landscape. And when it comes to speaking about the geography, and of course it goes with stability, so that development, and as you stated in the opening statement of the question about Algeria now is moving or having this active diplomacy that is based on economic development, because they know, I mean, the authorities in Algiers, they did understand the dynamic and the dynamism of the diplomacy and of these parameters that are shaping the region's geopolitics, so that geoeconomics. And this is why we say now, particularly when it comes to this administration of President Abdelmajid Tebboune administration, particularly in his second term, and we saw how he and it looks like there is a tandem between the El Mouradia and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that has actually added to the title of the Secretary of State, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, who is Minister of Foreign Affairs and in charge of African affairs. And having said that, there is also an undersecretary that she is in charge of African affairs. Of all these, actually, symbolism titles are not just symbolic, but they are, I mean, they have a solid meaning and a strong message that Algiers is sending to to its neighbors in the south, and also to the entire continent in African continent, and with its partners, actually the other pivotal state partners such as Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, and others like South Africa. And of course, one has to not distance the North Africa from the African Sahel to the Sub-Saharan. So all these parameters are actually, Algiers is looking to those parameters and is investing heavily on it. Actually, when it comes with not only with manpower, but also with money, so that with a vision.
Thank you for that, Dr. Abdunnoor Toumi. And now let me move to you, Mr. Idir Sassi. And from a legal and strategic standpoint, we saw, for example, the visit of the Chadian president last April. And my question is, how does the roadmap established during his visit actually manifest in the agreements we are seeing finalized today in Jamena, during the visit of our Prime Minister there?
Yeah, I think we are coming back to the restarting of a new era of relation between the Algeria and the Chad. But anyway, those relation, of course, historically speaking, exist for many years. But it's a new era. And the new era, when it's starting back, we should have something which is, a memorandum. The memorandum is something that will of course, define some milestones, which can be intentions, which can be projects, which can be something that we can do together, okay, or which we will support each other. But I think this step, which is after visits, Algeria is going to, is building an operational partnership. We are demonstrating that this memorandum, this partnership, is operational, effective. Of course, is by Algerian side, first of all, because we open, a plan, road, planning within Jamena a time ago, and now we build something practical for the interest of the Chad. But behind this, I can see from my proper perspective, there is a link with other important projects for Algeria, of course, first, but also for all the region, which is the Sahel region and West Africa, because we are talking about a week, few days, is the launch of the Algerian pipeline from Algiers to Abuja. And those things are happening same time. Those kind of projects, I will switch to the finance maybe head. Okay, those projects, when we build this kind of frame, which is bringing technical solutions, security is very important. We can build a security because we will make some efforts on that side, but we can ensure security by stability. The stability means bringing some solutions to the partners around this important and historical project. Bringing, electricity to Chad or Niger, etc. It's something that can help to stabilize this environment for this important project. And same time, we are making a kind of showcase for our capacities, technical capacities from Sonalgas, to build things very quickly, because deadlines, you can see, were very, very competitive. It's something very important to highlight. Plus, our companies are using international standards. We are not selling something, not good in terms of quality, because we have also a local partnership for those kind of equipment construction coming from, a top companies in the world. Okay, we are selling something very important. A showcase, a stability. Launching same time initiatives with Niger and Chad, plus this pipeline project, can bring confidence for whom? For some financial institutions to make their effort, maybe to help for the next step on this very impressive milestones, which is the pipeline between Algiers and Abuja. Tomorrow, if there is any fund somewhere, they will think twice about the credibility of Algeria for this kind of initiatives, which is very important.
Amazing. Important initiatives by Algeria, Mr. Mohammed Chris Sassi. And if we come to analyze the economic climate in general, can we consider Chad to be at least one of Algeria's strategic gateways to bolster its economic influence and connectivity in the broader Sahel and Central African region, just like Mr. Idir Sassi was saying?
It's an excellent question, and I will stay in the vein of what Mr. Idir was saying. You know, when you have this presentation in international relation, it is useful to frame our discussion within three analytical dimensions. Regional geopolitics, I think Idir have a little note on it, as well as Dr. Toumi. We have the economical statecraft, which we are going to talk about, and also, not less importantly, for me it's very important, because this is the link. There is the security development linkage. As Idir was saying, you know, the country risk is there and you have to consider it. But, you know, the recent visit, for example, of Prime Minister Sidi Grief to Najema, and we talk about the construction of the 30 megawatt power, it's going to help. But it has to be interpreted as part of Algeria broader strategy of projecting constructive influence across the Sahel infrastructure, energy diplomacy, and South-South cooperation. Now, to understand your question, to try to answer your question, can Chad be considered as Algeria's strategic gateway to strengthen its economic influence in the Sahel and Central Africa? Yes, but with an important nuance. Chad is not Algeria only gateway. Rather, it is a strategic bridge between North of Africa, the Sahel, and Central Africa. Why North of Africa? Algeria have 6 borders, as well as Chad. So it's very important to consider this point of geopolitics and geostrategy, as well as geoeconomical perspective. And then the geopolitical perspective, Chad occupe an unique position, I was saying, bordering with the 6 countries and connecting several regional economic space. For Algeria, stronger ties with Chad will facilitate access to the emerging market in Central Africa while reinforcing the presence in the Sahel at a time where religion alignment are evolving. And also a small footnote, you know that you have also to consider on the same line of thought that you have external influence even in Chad and the other country surrounding the Chad, notably the France, the Turkish, and as well now Morocco. But economically, like the cooperation with Chad and the support of Algeria to the long-term objective, like Idir was saying, it's not only, as I said, you have to diversify not only our external economic relation behind hydrocarbon and expanding to the international activities of Algeria. Public enterprise, you have pharmaceutical, you have the cement, you have the agreement, so on, and Algeria can provide all of that. So we don't have to stop only on hydrocarbon, and we have to diversify our economic in that economic productivity over there. And I say productivity, I didn't say anything else. And the project also aligned with Algeria growing on phases on Africa economic integration. Africa is 1.5 million population. Africa is a young population. 60% of African are less than 25%. If you look at the projection in 2050, Africa is going to be 2.5 billion of population, which means to translate that in market economy, which is very important. So therefore, Chad, and I will conclude on that, should not be viewed not merely as a market, but as a strategic partner through Algeria, and Algeria can deepen its economic and diplomatic engagement across a wider African hinterland.
Mm-hmm. So many sectors of endeavors should be actually discovered, Mr. Idir Sassi, and just to enlighten our viewers, the 40 megawatt power plant in the Farcha industrial zone executed by Sonalgas International, is being hailed as a model of Algerian-African partnership. And as you said, Mr. Idir Sassi earlier, they come at a very competitive deadlines. We see that Algerian companies are excelling at delivering their projects in very competitive deadlines and of good quality, as you said. Now, what could be the domestic significance of this project for Chad on the one hand, and how does it showcase Algeria's capabilities abroad?
Definitely, I think the expression of this need was very probably from Chadian authorities, and Algeria is responding efficiently. I mean, it's a showcase for our company. But maybe sometimes we forget the capacities of Algerian companies. Remember that Algeria is the biggest country in Africa, okay, with some specific landscapes, challenging landscapes. We have mountains, we have deserts, we have all what you can imagine as advantages, of course, but also challenges. And within this, topic, we have 98% of electrification, which means somehow we have behind, capacities to do things which are not simple at all. I think it's time to our companies to apply for some public tenders within Africa or somewhere. We have this capacity, as Mr. Chris was saying, about the, power distribution and sell. We can sell power and distribute power. It's clear. It's something that we are seeing now concretely. Same time, other industries. Cement, for example, there is a big need on infrastructure in Africa, and Algeria is producing actually cement. And the vision now is, creating the bridges, of course, with the cooperation, etc. But same time, allow our companies, why not, to take equities somewhere in Africa and to sell. We are doing this now with the scope of cooperation, which is very good. Why not in North Africa also somehow there are some opportunities for this company especially, but I can see it as I will use something which is maybe professionally, which is leading by example. Mm-hmm. It's a soft power, but it's not soft. At the level that we are only talking about something good to do. Mm-hmm. We are doing concrete and pragmatic approach with our partners. Personally, I'm happy seeing African countries talking with a pragmatic way to do, because I was saying in the beginning that starting talking on pragmatic things and being operational partners can bring possibilities and opportunities to get financing, because some projects sometimes need more money than our proper capacities. This is the way that we can bring confidence for someone is looking to invest on those kind of big and historical projects of infrastructure in Africa, because every time we are talking about those initiatives, I will come back and talk about the pipeline between Nigeria and Algeria. I think is the main topic that Algerian authorities are securing now, and this is very good to do it as we are doing it, because when they compare for some reason with other projects, we are bringing a very good, very strong example of South and South cooperation between three countries with a very pragmatic approach, which is supplying Europe and bringing wealth and development to our region.
Amazing. And since you mentioned financing, let me bring Mr. Mohammed Krissasi back. Mr. Mohammed Krissasi, as you were listening to Mr. Idir, financing and executing cross-border infrastructure is something highly complex. Now, how does this project, for example, highlight the capacity of Algerian state enterprises to execute major strategic projects outside their borders? And what added value does this bring, according to you, to the African energy market in general?
Well, as Idir was saying, I think I'm going to continue what he was saying with some noteworthy point. The project demonstrates definitively that Algeria, state-owned enterprise, particularly Sonelgaz, and its international subsidiary are increasingly transitioning from domestic operator to regional infrastructure actor. And few years back, we tried it with Tanzania, and it works very well. And here now we are with the Chad. And to continue to say, as I said, some noteworthy that I would like to add to what Idir was saying, Algeria technical teams completely are becoming very professional in their, not only in their study, but the preparatory work before the construction, when before they were subcontracted to other Occidental companies. Now they are doing it themselves. That's number one. And it was proved the excellency of their work. And then the project who follows closely, I should say, on the completion and inauguration of this similar 40 megawatt power in Niger. So we have here already an experience, and it was a very successful, and also is like a mirror of our excellency, not only our excellency professionalism and also reliability. That's very important, to be reliable when you do that kind of work. And thirdly, but not the least important, is the implementation, the showcase of Algeria's ability to mobilize financing, engineering enterprise, equipment, and project management across the border. Therefore, for the African energy market, to answer the second part of our question, is, how can I say, it was added value extended beyond the 40 megawatt capacity itself. The strategic significance is increasing electricity access in underserved regions, which is very important, developing regional engineering capabilities, encouraging intra-Africa technology transfer. Of course, I told you some number about the African future and the projection of the African market, demonstrating, and this is very important, in my point of view, the most important, Algeria is demonstrating an alternative model of African-led infrastructure, Africa to Africa development, based on solidarity and South-South cooperation rather than purely commercial external financing. And this, in my point of view, is the most important thing.
Amazing, amazing. You might have actually preluded to a question that I was meaning to address to Dr. Abdel Toumi. Dr. Abdel Toumi, nevertheless, the project, or this project, includes actually extensive training and knowledge transfer for local Chadian technicians. So, does this signal that Algeria is now exporting a comprehensive African developmental model rather than simply funding concrete infrastructure? How would you see this?
Actually, this is a part of, again, the new paradigm and parameters that were set by the Algerian authorities, and having an Africa policy that is based on stability. And also there is another word, with the keyword actually will rhyme with stability, is mobility. Because now, since I would say the last 5 years or so, Algeria has become a hub of mobility, notably in North Africa. And one could see that at Algiers airport, for instance, and how those actually African travelers who are transiting via Algiers to their countries and coming, whether from London, Paris, or Brussels. So this is, again, brings us to the an element of trustworthy, and Algeria has been acting as a trustworthy actor and dealing with its neighbors in actually in the Sahel countries, the neighboring countries such as Mali and Niger, and beyond, and with other Sahel countries that Algeria doesn't have direct borders, like, for instance, in this case, Chad, and we saw that Burkina Faso as well. And all these actually parameters have been set to show how Algeria is dealing with this when it comes to exporting is Algerian, let's put it this way in business terms, Algerian savoir-faire, and how these actually knowledge, like you said, is actually impacting the development of those countries. And for having Algeria have like set that element of a win-win actually, and this gives, speaking about trust, and it is important when it comes to any relations, and particularly when it comes to these skeptical relations that actually have been set for decades. And fortunately, actually, the region, and not only the turmoil that is going on the African Sahel, but actually one could say or argue all about the African continent, and how that image of Africa was sadly sent to, notably to the West, or was portrayed in the Western mainstream Western media as, you know, when we talk about Africa, they talk about poverty and corruption and development. But to the contrary, today one could argue that Africa is moving forward and is actually having solid assets when it comes to development and prosperity. And also there is another element here. There is this young generation of leaders in Africa, and also advisors in the decision-making process in those countries, who are saying to the Westerners, and enough is enough, and ending the attitude of patronage. And this is actually was Mr. Sessi mentioned about the involvement of other countries, actually regional countries in that area. Like, for instance, I will mention Turkey, that field I know well because I worked on it, and how the Turkish actually leaders are approaching Africa with kind of, I would say, soft power based on this humanitarian and development diplomacy. And again, with humbly, I will argue that it is the role of Algeria today to use, I won't say to copy, but to use that approach, how to deal with those countries at this moment of uncertainty of international politics and regional politics, because it is, I mean, at the end, it is Algeria's backyard, and Algeria has a legitimate cause and role to play on, and don't leave or these countries, to move for other regional and regional players, because it is Algeria has a solid stake there, and this stake is based, of course, directly on its national security. Maybe later we can talk about that, how this actually how Algeria is affected by those and destabilizing forces, like, for instance, the transnational terrorist groups and the human trafficking, and also to the humanitarian crisis. I mean, unfortunately, it is a humanitarian tragedy that has become a national security issue for these countries, and notably for Algeria. And speaking about Algeria-Chad relations, and this is sure, I mean, the economic aspect, it's solid, and they are enhancing this cooperation and this development. But one has to be careful also about what's going on that leads us to a neighboring country of, like Mohammed Sassi mentioned, how Chad is a vast country and has many borders with other countries. And for instance, Sudan, who is going through this civil war, and that is impacting Chad, so that will lead or create a sense of instability, and its impact will actually impact Algeria via Libya, for instance. And so all this connection about the North African and the Sahel and West African countries are, of course, I mean, they look and I won't say they are unstable, but there are these parameters of instability that will impact any development or prosperity. But Algeria now is actually positioning itself as a strong and a pivotal state, and we're having that experience, a long experience when it comes to its actually war on terror, and also even actually Algeria has another asset, politically speaking. It's about political national reconciliation, and one has to remember, I mean, Chad has gone through a terrible civil war and ethnic wars, and that Algeria did play a major role for stability, and how actually Algeria's experience about national political reconciliation, how that was actually played out in Chad domestic politics. So all these ramifications, I mean, whether economics or politics, are also, I mean, this needs to be taken into consideration.
Amazing, Dr. Abdel Noor Toumi. You gave a very comprehensive answer that wrapped up almost all the geopolitical points, Dr. Abdel Noor Toumi. But then let me get back to the economic part, Mr. Idir Sassi. As Dr. Abdel Noor Toumi was saying, when we speak about Africa, technically that's Algeria's backyard. And we should not leave this to other foreign powers, even if it is soft, be it Turkey or other country, to play a role that Algeria should be playing. And now, my question, do you think that this successful delivery of the Facha power plant could actually serve as a springboard, not just for Sonalgaz, but also for other Algerian firms to secure perhaps similar strategic mega projects across the continent of Africa in the near future?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I was saying that Algeria is leading by example, because they are giving they are leading by example, okay? We are helping at the same time bringing some good experience for our companies, good exposition. Talking about training, I was listening to the your respective guest. I think also that the fact that Algeria is proposing something which is a package, a complete package, which is not only selling something. We are proposing also to empower people. How those Africans, they will sustain those investment, because looking for sustainability is also bringing stability. Okay, is empowering people is something very important. This is the difference that a partnership with a brother, which is African. This is the difference that we can bring to Africa instead of others, between brackets. Same time, I think that also Algeria is having a complete understanding of some African expectations. A few years ago, we were likely, let's say, freezed on some 70s and 60s vision. Now I think the approach is more efficient, is pragmatic somehow. This is why we are, providing this empowerment effort for Africans, for our brothers and African brothers. Saying that, we are bringing difference. We are bringing something different as partners for the African countries. Sometimes when you need to sell something, you should understand the expectation of your client. I think this step, we already have something new in our mindset as African. And moreover, I think empowering people by giving training or doing something like this, I think this bring something that all Africans are looking, because now we know the expectation, of course, because it's something pragmatic, but the foundation of people, African people mainly, we are bringing somehow a sovereignty, because empowering people is kind of sovereignty, of course, stability, sustainability, etc. This is the difference that we can propose for someone needs to deal with us, is empowering respecting. Okay, we are bringing. Respecting sovereignty and bringing solution for sovereignty, and those pillars are something that are on the top of the points that some African institutions, political institutions, plus financial institutions are strongly building. From the last few years. When I'm saying that, because some African institutions are bringing African financial solutions, and the difference when you are asking for some solution coming from your brothers, your African, is those points that Algeria is promoting, which is empowering people, building infrastructure, enter countries trade and interest, because when you have a common project, you will bring stability between countries, because we are involved on some pragmatic interest. This vision is the vision of some African financial institutions. When I'm saying African financial institutions, of course, this is the solution, because at the end of the day, if you need to build something or buy something or even sell something, you should look for some guarantees, financial guarantees, and your partner maybe he has no capacity to buy this service or this equipment. And if you bring those solutions that are mapping exactly with what you are proposing, we are opening a new era of opportunities, and everything is aligned, I think. And Algeria is, as I'm saying, leading by example, and those kind of initiatives are, I think, highly appreciated by, first of all, people in Africa, simple citizens, but also are on the heart of the evolution of African economy.
Amazing. And in your answer, Mr. Idir Sassi, you mentioned Sahel stability, and this is an element that Dr. Abdel Toumi mentioned also earlier. And here, Dr. Abdel Toumi, I would like to get back to this particular point, which you have actually given a comprehensive general answer to earlier. But then if we come to look at it and to put things into perspective, balancing security challenges with economic growth is something important and of a great significance that Algeria is trying to achieve. So the Sahel region, as you mentioned yourself earlier, remains highly volatile. So the question goes like this: how crucial, how important is this comprehensive approach by Algeria, meaning combining military and security coordination with heavy economic development, in addressing the root causes of instability that Mr. Idir Sassi just mentioned in the Saharan space?
Actually, you are right. And it's all about development. And one has to remember, development doesn't come by itself, and of course doesn't thrive with chaos or in chaos. So it needs stability. And when we speak about stability, of course, the stability of the institutions and the good governance and so on when it comes to those countries. But this is why Algeria, actually, particularly, as I said, particularly in the last 5 years or so, has positioned itself in this new posture of stabilizing force in the region and beyond. Not only in the African Sahel, but in the sub-Saharan and beyond, as stabilizing force, actually, to eradicate all those elements of destabilization. And this is why, again, Algeria's role is crucial in this landscape. Actually, it's a harsh landscape, actually, geographically speaking. And pardon. And this is, again, it gives to Algeria, as I stated earlier, as a trustworthy actor, and not being or showing that position of like patronaging those countries, like what happened with a former colonizer like France, who did lose totally, I mean, its diplomatic and actually prestige and influence in the region as a result of that arrogant policy and attitude toward the Africans, as it was stated by Mr. Idir when he spoke about the brotherly relation. And it is important because in those relations, and particularly in that part of the world, it is based about a direct human contacts. And the trust is very important. So Algeria knows that very, very well because of its actually role, as I said, as a pivotal state on one hand, and of its actually political and diplomatic heritage, that, and of course, of its actually antecedent background for fighting against harsh occupation and acculturation processes that Algeria went through for 130 years, so that many of those African countries who look at Algeria as a big brother, or a trustworthy brother. And this is why today Algeria actually doesn't have to leave any details to other countries, or as I stated earlier, regional powers to step in for any possibility when it comes to security or political vacuum. So it is important for Algeria, and it's not just about a business, it is about a national security issue. Sure, I mean, business, it is important, and it creates solid it waves solid webs between the people and the leaders. But at the end of the day, its stability, it's important. And this is why Algeria is a pivotal state, and it is a strong state and stable state with experience and with power, who can actually manage that politically, militarily, and diplomatically.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Abdenour Toumi. And now getting back to you, Mr. Idir, with this question. Perhaps you wanted to comment on something that Mohammed Kristansi was saying. But then after you make that comment, I would like to ask you this. What practical mechanisms are Algeria and Chad utilizing to coordinate their security efforts while simultaneously protecting these newly launched strategic projects from potential threats?
Yeah. Definitely is important. Securing investment is something very, very important. One word about it's fair enough what Mr. Mohammed Chris was saying, which is totally we can agree with his remarks, and it is kind of logic. But I think, from my point of view, the empty chair on the environment, and the situation of the stability in the region and in the world, I think is not the best behavior to have. Algeria is important, and we should occupy this chair. And sometimes we discuss or we engage effort not only with our closest friend. Sometimes we need to discuss for someone who is think is somehow far from us for many reasons. And doing those efforts is the correct thing to do, because we are bringing our brothers to the interest of each other, by the way, because sometimes the external foreign abroad influence is not working for the interest of the whole region. At the end of the day, we have to discuss with each other and to find the best way and to occupy the space which is the chair that Algeria has to occupy. This is just to highlight something about this. The relation, or maybe the effort that we are doing as Algerian. It's in my point of view. Definitely securize, the security for something, because you have on the investment, we all maybe as observers, we can see opportunities everywhere. but at the same time there are risks. And the people that are bringing money or they are sending people there, they have to check, and to do things that are bringing the security and the sustainability for those solutions. I think Algeria, actually in the region and maybe even in the Mediterranean Sea, has the credibility to talk about security. Of course, we have I will not speak about our capacities as full military forces, etc., which is of course something that is important in the balance. But I need to highlight the effort that the Algeria is doing at the same time to secure the journey of those potentials. Bringing stability around Niger, the Chad is a key between Libya, between Sudan, between neighbors which are not too much stable. Participating in the stabilization of Chad is a key. Stabilization of Chad is a key for our, of course, borders, but also for the neighboring country where we are looking to invest this major project, which is a pipeline.
Amazing, Mr. Idir Sassi. Unfortunately, we have run out of time and we have to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend my deepest thanks to all our guests for their profound insights tonight. Here with me, Mr. Idir Sassi. Also, Chris Mohammed Sassi from New York, Dr. Abdel-Noor Toumi in Paris. Thank you all for all your valuable insights. And as we have heard tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the laying of the foundation stone in N'Djamena is not merely about generating electricity. It is about powering a new era of self-reliance, security and integration across the African continent. Algeria's shift from political rhetoric to actionable development marks a defining moment in its Sahelian diplomacy, proving once again that the best defense against regional instability is shared prosperity. Thank you, dear viewers, for tuning in to this All 24 News special coverage. I'm Karim Faz Zachary. Have a wonderful evening and stay safe.